Welcome back to the Football Terrace. It's the first night off from the Euros. We are tonight going to be debating the best 6 players from the group stages so far. Very, very excited to do this indeed. Just saw some of the panel there. That's the 6 names. The link for you to vote is in the description below. And Give Me Sport will be announcing and awarding this player directly, maybe not into their hand, it's going to be done digitally, the award. You have the chance to vote for Locatelli. I nearly called him Lacazette. It's Lukaku, De Jong, Schick, Ronaldo, or Forsberg, all very pivotal and highly rated by their nations more so than anything else in their respective groups. What we're also doing tonight, we're having a bit of a chat about this, the Sancho and the Ben White deals, because there's one thing them being good for Man United. There's one thing them being good for Arsenal. And there's another for England. Do you think this is a good or a bad distraction in the England camp during an international tournament for Sancho to be so closely linked with sealing his long-awaited move to Manchester United, to Old Trafford, to hopefully wear that famous number 7 shirt? And with Ben White, he's on the cusp of becoming one of the most expensive defenders in world football history. Is that a good or a bad distraction from an England point of view? I want your thoughts. And I want your feelings on this. A lot of people saying, where's Genie? Where's Jorginho? Well, we could discuss that later on in the show. This is what was selected by everybody at Give Me Sport. And it was based on a lot of things. It was based on statistics. It was also based on picking a team that had done very well in that group and reviewing and speaking to fans of that country and who they put forward. That's how the shortlist was created, as opposed to us just running a poll here. Because I think if the Football Terrace did a poll on who should be in the shortlist, you would see so much club bias come through. So what Give Me Sport did was reach out to people that don't share that bias. Because if you don't speak to Chelsea fans about Italy, no one really, you get more of a balanced view. The same with me. If you ask me who should be in Ronaldo's group, even if Ronaldo had been sent off twice, not that that's possible, and scored no goals, I probably would have picked him. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We've got a great panel on the show with us this evening. Man like Neek's back in the house.
What are you saying, guys?
Last night, did Brazil win last night? Did Brazil win?
Yeah, they did. 100th minute by Casemiro.
There we go. I knew that they were losing at one point, but I kind of switched off. We've got man like David in here. He's just finished his shift at Pizza Hut. And he's in the house smelling like cheese and dough, but ready to vote. We've got man like KJ in the house doing his thing, still pushing the false line agenda, still talking about that all day long. I've seen it.
Has to be done.
So you get to see some of his editing skills a little bit later. Daniel's in the house. The man and the magical curtain is back on the terrace again. Igal will be joining us later. He's just being made to cook his beautiful wife dinner, and he'll be with us once he finishes making it, eating it, cleaning up, and being the wonderful husband that he is. Evening, gentlemen. How are we all?
Igal should have just ordered Pizza Hut from David.
Honestly. Pizza Hut is good, but for me, again, Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, personally. That's my personal thing. But
I'm telling you, pizza from some random chippy. Elite, the greasy. Oh, hey, listen. I love my Domino's. I love my Papa John's. I love all that. But every now and then, you need a dirty, greasy pizza.
Yeah, and you know about it the next morning.
Yeah. But people, your Neeks, if people choose to get drunk, I'm gonna choose to go disrupt my stomach.
I'm not holding against you, because you need it every so often. £2 9-inch or £3 9-inch. Keep it moving, innit?
You know what I'm saying?
I miss takeaways like that in the East End, like where you just get food. But it's like that with chicken. Like KFC, everyone raves about it, and I know it's the biggest brand. But for me, a Sam's or a Dixie chicken, Kenzie chicken in Leytonstone in the High Street, opposite the Bell Pub, if you know it, if you're from them areas, that food is so much better than KFC, light years. And it's like $1.99 for 2-piece chicken and chips. Like that's even when you're broke. When I'm younger and I was broke, I could afford to eat and dine out every night. Chicken and chips.
I'm gonna quickly apologize on behalf of the terrace for the 30+ crew having their little nostalgia moment. So yeah, man, just sending out apologies for anyone who doesn't understand. Obviously, you guys are just having your little moment there, so I'll just let you guys take the shine.
These kids are like, yes, Sam's Chicken is Papa's now. I think it changed. I think they got bought out. They probably changed ownership, like half the shops, all the chicken shops in East London, all the takeaways. Every 18 months, they pretty much had a new name or new owners. Maybe that's the new startup business thing they did. I don't know. Always under new management. Ballon. It's the same guy that's been serving me since I was 5, bro. How's your mum? How's your dad? He says new owners. He's like, yeah, my cousin brother owns it now. I'm like, all right, one of them ones there. I hear you. Boys, big. We're going to get onto the player debate a little bit later, but big news today. First of all, over the last 24 hours, the Jadon Sancho deal is legitimately closing in. He's going to be wearing the red of Manchester United. And you even saw the German press today. The bid's a little bit less than Dortmund want, but they are willing to compromise. As soon as you read that, you know it's over. And then Benjamin White. 50 million pound centre-back, second most expensive centre-back in Premier League history. I believe he's going to be English centre-back in Premier League history. He's going to be. Arsenal spending big bucks on him. What was your take on both these deals almost coming to a conclusion now, Danny?
Sancho obviously is probably the end to like one of the longest running sagas we've seen. I feel like United always do this. Didn't it take like almost a year and a half to sign up Bruno Fernandes as well?
No, it took 6 months. Like, it took,
6 months. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I know it did. To be fair, I did read about it taking long in it, like just taking longer than fans would have wanted to. And like, obviously, yes. I mean, Sancho's a great signing, but like many Man United fans say already, like he is a good player to have as part of this squad, or a quality player to have as part of this squad. Whether or not Olido can win you trophies with the players that you have at your disposal is another question. But look, having Sancho commercially, the marketing side of things, all of that kind of stuff, playing with Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, it's all great for Man United. And do you know what? Even away from the football, just as fans, I remember back in the day when your team signs a big player, that's one of the most exciting feelings ever, regardless of the on the pitch stuff. Like you're there sitting down, and it's a great feeling. If I was a United fan, I'd be shouting from the mountaintops. Ben White. Sorry, go on.
If Man United fans can find the energy to be screaming from the rooftops, because we've been waiting, bro. This has been a long process.
You remember we were celebrating when Fabrizio put out a tweet. I think it was in August, saying terms of an agreement between Man United and Sancho, and like just a bid need to be accepted. And we just thought right then it's happening. Yeah. All my energy is right now. I'm drained in it. I'll celebrate when it happens. But
once you see him with the top on, trust me, you'll be excited.
Yeah, when I see Dave walk out on the camera screen, you know what I'm saying? When I see Dave started spitting, Jadon Sancho come next to him, I'm gonna be gassed. No, I will be gassed. That announcement video is gonna be lit. Let's not get it twisted.
Facts, 100%. Then just quickly on Ben White. For me, look, I've spoken to a couple of Brighton fans, and there's actually a Brighton fan that I'm quite good friends with. He's a content creator alongside myself, and he told me, look, he said it's a steal for them. He said that he thought if 50 million pounds was coming their way, it would be for Bissouma, and not for Ben White. He thought that Ben White would have needed another year of experience and whatnot. Obviously, he's a good defender. I know Leeds fans big him up, especially with the season he had in the Championship. But there's a couple of arguments that Brighton would have felt it more if they lost Dunk or Webster, which says a lot. But look, I'm not gonna try and dumb down the look. It's an Arsenal signing, £50 million. We'll see how it works out. I'm not sold on it really. I don't think centre back was what they needed, but again, Saliba's looking out of favour and whatnot. So I guess maybe they just needed reinforcements. And David Luiz, I believe, is on his way out too. So fair enough. But I'm not really sold on Ben White. I'm not sure.
And I hear that. I suppose the big thing for me right now is everyone's going to have an opinion on these players. Sancho, we don't need to debate. I think on the terrace, we've spoken about him so many times. We know how good he is. And I do understand that feeling, as you say, Neeks, of being sort of tired and waiting for this to happen. I think that also comes from the fact, as you say, football just feels like we had that break during the first lockdown where we didn't know what to do with ourselves. But it's been 12, 13 months now, consecutive football. banter being thrown at each other every 5 minutes. All our teams at 1 minute being high, then being low, then being high again. Transfer rumors. It's been very intense. A few of the guys, sort of panelists, are sort of like, yeah, I'm going to take the summer off, Terry, be back when the new season starts, just because I want to rest from it. And I do understand that feeling. But one of the conversations I wanted to have with yourselves tonight is this. Of course, we're going to go back onto Euro 2020 as we're speaking about this. Big game for England on Tuesday against the old enemy, Germany. Is this do you think this is a welcome? I'll go to Neeks first on this. Is it a welcome distraction, do you think, for the England camp to maybe have a couple of players that are about to secure big money moves, maybe go away and do some medicals, maybe spend a bit of time away from sort of their colleagues, doing a bit of a photo shoot or some interviews for these deals, etc. Do you think it's a welcome distraction, or do you actually think that maybe England and the players themselves should be putting a stop to these deals because they should be 100% focused on their upcoming game against Germany?
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. What I think would be an issue is if Ben White or Jadon Sancho had to leave the camp to go do a medical or something like that. I think that's when you have an issue, because you're like, well, your full focus right now is not on what it should be, on the football. Of course, Ben White may not even play in this tournament. I don't think he's actually, has he come on in any of the games? I don't think he has. No. We know Sancho's only played 6 minutes. So the Ben White thing may be a bit less, but I would hope, if I was the England manager or someone around the players, you're allowing the clubs to do their business and your agents to take care of negotiations, etc. And what you can say, we know, like with the Jadon Sancho one, there's been talk, as I said, since last year, that the personal terms were agreed. So for Jadon Sancho, the only thing that needs to be done for this deal is Man United and Dortmund to agree a fee. He needs to kind of just separate himself from that and focus on England. Of course, it's going to be difficult. I know it's going to be difficult because it's still your future. Whether you're directly speaking to someone about it day to day or not, it's going to be involved. But I don't think, other than stopping them to leave the camp to go for medicals, I don't think there's much England or the FA can really do to stop clubs negotiating in the background. And you just hope that it doesn't affect the players. I think Ben White less so, because he's not, he was called up as a last minute in case X or Y, Z was injured. Jadon Sancho maybe more so, because you'd think if England are to go much further, they're going to need to probably call on him off the bench or whatever it might be as the tournament goes on.
Yeah, how about yourself, David? I mean, do you think this is something that should just be, as Neeks has alluded to there, it will be a case of, it will be the agents resolving these matters, it will be the agents doing all the paperwork, and it's just a case of there might be a holding tweet or statement put out by the clubs when an agreement is reached? Or do you actually look at it the other way, where maybe it's a beneficial thing? Maybe it stops boredom from creeping in. Maybe it's a welcome distraction to go spend an afternoon away from, whether we're allowed out the bubble or not, I don't know the rules around that, but just to spend some time away from thinking about Germany. And, you're someone who's doing exams right now. Is it healthy sometimes to not be stuck in your books, revising and thinking about your exams always?
Yeah, of course. Like, having a distraction from something that's quite stressful is always a good thing to have. But for me, I don't see it as a massive problem, mainly because both these players aren't really that key for England anyway. Like, Ben White hasn't touched the field. Sancho's touched 6 minutes. So I don't really see him touching the field much more than that anyway. So I don't feel like, in terms of on the field, it's going to make a massive difference, because they don't play at all, really. The only negative I can see coming out of this is that maybe other players like Harry Kane may be going like, well, I'm currently needing a move, and I might have to agitate for it, and I might have to do it during the Euros. That may be the only thing I see there being a problem with, but I don't see it for now being a problem. And I think both those players, like, they deserve their moves. So it's like,
yeah, I agree with David. I think the Kane one's probably maybe more so, because the Ben White one, as it seems like, and the Jadon Sancho one are pretty much certain to happen, it seems like. Whereas the Kane one, he's in his head, he's still a Spurs player, and he doesn't want to be a Spurs player anymore. So he could actually be thinking about that, trying to, speak to his agent. What is there anything that you can say to Levy to get this done? He shouldn't be. Again, he should be focused on England. But after this tournament, he still has to think about the rest of his career. So for me to say he shouldn't be is a bit flippant because it's not my career, is it? But I think that's a bigger distraction.
But I think and again, I don't necessarily think it's the Ben White and Sancho deals that are the problem, but it's they're all going to be on socials. They can see this happening, and it gets you thinking. We all do it, don't we? You know what I mean? When you've got something in your life you're not happy with, and you see someone around, like if you want to get a promotion or you want to change jobs, and then one of your work colleagues is like, "Oh, I just got this new job somewhere." It makes you think, like, what about I've got to do something? Do you feel like KJ, all the shenanigans going on at Tottenham with, I think, what is it now? They're 7th or 8th direct rejection. There's another trend on social media tonight. Say no to Nuno. They don't want Nuno Espirito Santo now, according to some posts that I've seen. Do you think that could be a distraction for England as well, from Harry Kane point of view, where he's seeing his club seemingly dissolve in front of him?
Yeah, that's probably more of a distraction than the other two. I feel like the other two are fine, legit. If I was manager, I would tell Ben White, tell Jadon Sancho, yo, go and actually complete these deals. If it's that close to get medicals and whatever, go do it. Because what I would think as a manager is like, you'll come back with new energy. You're gonna be buzzing. You're gonna be excited. You're gonna be like, right, cool. Now let's fully focus. Now let's go. Let me prove why I've got this deal at the Euros. You know what I'm saying? So they have something to galvanize them and let them go forward. It's not like we've not seen other nations do this. We just saw Donnarumma like go and take his medicals for PSG. You know what I mean? You've seen Buffon do medicals and sign up for. Is Buffon at the tournament, by the way?
No.
Was he retired?
Depay did it for Barcelona.
Well, Depay did it for Barcelona. I don't know why I thought Buffon was there. I'm just so used to him being there, innit? He's just always there, lurking in your club in FIFA. But yeah, like, so other nations have done that, and it's not really affected them so much. Harry Kane, though, when he's the star man for England, he is the poster boy. He's the captain. Having him in the situation that he is, I don't think can be very good and productive for the team, because he's supposed to be leading by example. He's supposed to be the one driving the team forward, and you can tell that it's affecting him in some way, shape, or form, because you're not seeing the same Harry Kane on the field. He doesn't look the same. He doesn't run the same. He's not playing the same. And with that lingering around, it could get players wondering, what's wrong with Harry? You know what I mean? They'll look on social media and be like, yo, that Spurs club, damn, like, that's kind of peak. And it just gets murmurings of things going around in the dressing room. I'm not saying that this is happening like dead set, we don't know. Most of them are probably pretty professional and block it out, but it could have a factor, and it could have an effect on the entire team, because, again, star man, captain, poster boy is going through, I would say, a difficult moment in his career, because he's trying to leave his boyhood club.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult moment. I think you're bang on with that, because it isn't just trying to leave. It isn't like he's at a successful club that's still doing very well, and it's, I want to leave, but if I stay, it's great. It's calamity central, and I know that they have this. Maybe if they were stuck in a ranch in the mountains somewhere in South Africa, limited Wi-Fi, probably haven't got limited Wi-Fi, somewhere like that. But you know what I mean, somewhere quite far and out the way, it's easier. But they are still in England. There's no way that whole squad hasn't heard about what's going on with Spurs, and it's probably worse for Harry Kane than any Tottenham fan in this country, because he's probably being updated directly from people that actually know what's going on. And he's seeing them, as you say, get rejected by all these managers. The fans are turning against people. You know, right now, I legitimately think, I know Josh put this in the group chat the other day, and I believe he's right in this. I would be less shocked by Paratici leaving now before they get a new manager. That would shock me less than them actually signing a new manager. So I think the Harry Kane thing's an interesting one. And when you think that, we know how hard a game it's going to be against Germany. It's going to be a very, very difficult game. But this isn't the best Germany side of all times. But we are still going to have to be at our absolute best. And I actually think that these distractions for Sancho and Ben White are pretty good. Normally you get like... I would remember the footage. Did you all see the footage when Alexis Sanchez thought he secured his move to Man City?
Yeah.
Have you seen that? So basically, all these teammates from Chile were like so happy for him. It was like this party atmosphere. I mean, I would love to have seen the footage 2 hours later when it fell through. Like that would have been even probably like funny to watch. Like, like I wish I wish he had gone Man City now. Like when I think back, I was so happy when he didn't go, and I so wish he had done. But maybe Jadon will come back and there'll be a feel good factor in the dressing room for him. I think it'll be good. The Harry Kane.
Yeah, I'm about to say Jadon Sancho
with us here. Now, of course, me and Miguel spoke about the Ben White deal earlier. Will you still believe what you said earlier, that you think this could end up being a steal of £50 million?
Yeah, definitely. I honestly do, because you have to realize the situation that we're currently in. We don't have much quality English talent in our team, and we're going straight, and we're getting ourselves one of the most highly touted young English center backs. You guys are laughing. He was linked to Manchester United, and I remember being on a stream with KJ, Terry, Johnny, and Aiden, and you guys were all saying, imagine if we signed Ben White. And I was the only one there saying, you know what, Ben White's actually a good player. You guys are underestimating him.
Let's add context to this, girl. We were saying that, imagine if we signed Ben White, when we have been linked to Varane, Pau Torres, Kunde, 3 players who you would think are an upper echelon of centre-backs in world football right now. And then you go from that to Ben White. That's where why is Ben White? If it's just Ben White from the get-go, that's a different conversation. But there is context to that discussion.
My face isn't based on Ben White not being he may be a good signing, but a steal at 50 means that he's going to be world class. A steal at 50, that means you got him. They undervalued him, therefore he's performing at 60-70 million pound level.
Okay, let me ask you this: is Aaron Wan-Bissaka worth £50 million?
Not right now, but he could potentially.
Okay. Is Harry Maguire worth the 80 million?
No, and he will never be.
Okay. We all know that there's an English tax. We all know that there's a situation where when you need quality players from the Premier League who are homegrown and of the level to compete for your first team, you're going to pay more than the odds. Agreed. And this is the situation that Arsenal caught themselves in. We're in a situation where we don't have enough homegrown quality. We made the silly mistake of letting go of Martinez, and now we're trying to find a homegrown goalkeeper to fill that void. Honestly, this right here, it might not be the most flashy signing. It might be very underwhelming to people who wanted those big names to come in, Jules Koundé and Tapsoba and stuff like that. But in my opinion, as we don't know, the story hasn't been written on him, but in my opinion, he's a quality center back. He's a ball playing center back. He plays on that right hand side. He'll come into this team. He'll bring something that we haven't had in a long time, being a homegrown English center back who is of the quality to play for England.
Again, I'm not saying he's going to be a bad signing, but let me give you Maguire's been a good signing for Man United, but he hasn't been a steal at 80 million. You had to pay. That's a fair chunk of money at 80 million, and I think Maguire is better than Ben White. It's like John Stones. I think the Ben White one is probably closest you can match to John Stones. John Stones is a bit younger. They bought him from Everton, touted high. Actually, he was touted much higher than Ben White, to be fair, and he cost 50 million. He definitely hasn't been a steal for Man City. I'm interested in having decent seasons in between. I'm just saying the word is a bit much.
Igal, what did you think? You would have to pay for Ben White.
I thought we were going to pay 45 million. I didn't think we were going to pay 50.
Even 45 is a bit steep.
No, I'm saying in the sense that we're getting a young English talent that's going under the radar. A lot of people are trying to downplay the signing. He's a very good center back. Let's not forget about the price for a second. If he comes into the team and raises our levels of our defense, a defense that was one of the best defenses last year, even though we finished 8th, he could make a big difference in our team.
I feel like out of everyone here, I'm probably the highest on Ben White because I was like, this guy's got to be in the England team. But I still think, for me personally, I think 50 mil is too much. I think, especially for what your squad needs, a £50 million centre back is not the answer to
we've come a long way
up high the table.
We've come a long way from a team that you guys were saying can't afford a £30 million signing, going out and buying a £50 million centre back. That's a statement of intent.
Well, I don't ever think it was a case of can't afford. It was wouldn't spend. It's a difference. Interestingly, I rate Ben White. I'm not going back on what I said. I think he's a very good signing. £50 million though does come with pressure, especially when you look here at the Football Observatory, and his current value with them is between 10 and 15 million euros. So you are paying well above the sort of market rates. I'm not too sure, although this is more of a website that market players. I'm not too sure what the transfer market website values him on. I can't find the one on KP because I no longer work in banking, so I stopped my subscription to what they do.
The other thing with Ben White,
but they have been valued. They haven't valued a little bit higher actually on that. That's been updated very, very recently in the last month to 25 million. So even then, sort of most valuations have been between 15 and say 25 million. So it is a big amount of money. But you know what? If he performs for Arsenal in the same way Saka and Emil Smith Rowe have, then I do think he'll be worth that money. There's no doubt. But we will see. Go on, Gal. KJ. Final point on this before we move to the debate.
Yeah, I think this is a good signing. Good signing for Arsenal, and it's something that they should be doing. And the price is steep, yes, but if Arsenal fans have been crying out for their team to spend money, now that they're spending money, they're upset about spending money. So for me, it's like they need to do what they have to do, which is upgrade their squad, which they're doing. The only thing is, like, to say it's a steal right now isn't really the case. I don't think it will be a steal. It will be.
I didn't say he is a steal.
No. Okay. Sorry, my bad. Saying he could be a steal, I get that. But he has to, like Nick said, he has to achieve certain amount of levels to get there first. And potentially it could be more of we actually got our price. We actually paid, we got what we paid for. So to be a steal, he has to perform well above 50 million. If he actually grows and becomes a very, very good centre-back, that's still only 50 million pounds worth. And therefore it will be, we paid what we got for.
And sorry, can I just say, I think it's the Arsenal factor is why there's a lot of doubt about this, in the sense of if Chelsea spent 50 million on Ben White, people will be like, all right, they spent 50 million. It may be a bad signing, but they're still going to go out and get a DM, a striker, a winger. Arsenal, nobody knows really how much Arsenal are going to spend. So a lot of people are thinking, if you spend 50 million on Ben White, is he worth that in the context of how much money you got to spend and what positions do you have to need? What do you need to fill? And I think all of that context...
It's the opportunity cost of Ben White. The opportunity cost, what are you foregoing to get a Ben White?
Yeah, it's there. I mean, look, a few people are asking what is Maguire valued at. When Man United signed him, I just went back and checked historically. His valuation was around about 65 million on average in places. United spent about 15 million above. His valuation is now at 40 million. All players have dropped in valuation because of what's gone on. But it's about what you get out of them. The one difference I would say about the Maguire situation is you had the champions of England and Pep Guardiola offering cash to buy him. So you're never going to be able to drive that price down. But look, I think it's going to be a good signing. There's a comment here that says Konate around 35 million, White 50. Well, but Kante had a buyout clause, and if Kante was the same player with the same ability, and he was at a club with a higher buyout clause, say 80 million, that's what Liverpool would have had to have paid. They wouldn't have let him go for anything less. So it's great when you can get. It's a bit like Varane. Varane's worth so much more than the 40 million pound that Man United are linked with spending on him. Of course, he's a 28-year-old world-class centre back, 4 Champions Leagues, a World Cup, umpteen league titles, domestic trophies. But the circumstance makes him cheaper. So I understand where you're coming from, Aiden. But valuation, like I keep saying to people, valuation versus sale price, market value versus sale price, there's so many factors that can make it go up or down depending on what's going on. And do you know what? Like if tomorrow Man City came in and offered 60 million, then the price drives up again when you've got a bidding war. Look what's happened with Hakimi. If PSG would have walked away from Hakimi, Chelsea would have picked him up for about 50 million euros plus Alonso. But a team come in and went, 80 million euros. And Chelsea have said, we don't think he's worth that. So they've walked away. Now, does that suddenly mean Hakimi's worth in valuation 30 million euros more? No. But in terms of sale price, somebody's prepared to pay that to stop anybody else from getting him. So that's what also always has to be factored into these things as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on and we are going to do the player debate we mentioned. These are the 6 nominees as put forward by the fan bases of these clubs and a bit of input from our team and our friends and colleagues over at Snack and Give Me Sport. These are the 6 people you can vote for. The pinned comment on this stream right now is the link to the fan awards for the Euros for the best player of the group stages. You can click on that now. It's also in our description below. Make sure you go and vote for one of the 6 that you think deserves to be awarded it of these 6. We can't. I know a lot of people are saying, like, I've seen about 5 different Italian names. We can't have them all on there. It's one player from each group. This is who's been selected. Of these 6 players, do us a favor and click on the player you want and get yourselves voting, please, ladies and gentlemen. But before we do that, I want to do this here for a moment. I want to make this overly play here. I want to introduce this here. So obviously you all know KJ, been on Terrace now for over a year, hosted Midnight Vibes. He does have a day job that he's very, very good at. Very, very good at indeed. This is, I'll let KJ introduce it properly, but this is a music video that drops tomorrow on GRM Daily. Is that right?
Yes, GRM Daily, 6:30.
GRM Daily tomorrow. So tomorrow, GRM Daily, 6:30. Make sure you check out this music video, and we're going to play you a snippet now from it.
They want to see man locked up. I could picture the judge when they close them doors and all of them Marcos. No shot to us. Man, them know what it is. That's why when I saw us march, there was goosebumps all over my skin. Now we have to atone for our sins. Gunshots made him walk with a limp. Tried to strip that crown from a king. That crown won't fit nobody else but him.
Yeah, so this song is called Genocide, and it's by an artist called S Maverick, and the whole story behind it is he's questioning drill music, the environments that young youths grow up in, and is that causing a genocide? Is that what is causing all these things going on? Like, we've seen a lot of stabbings and deaths in those areas, in those communities, and he's questioning what is the contribution to that, and are we just in a cycle? And he's an artist that tries to break the norm of drill, rap, hip hop. He tries to talk from a place of there's more to this than just being on the street, trying to sell drugs, trying to stab up each other. So I'm very proud of him as an artist, as my client, and I've done multiple videos for him, and this one's our best one. That's just a little snippet. The whole video in itself tells a story, and towards the end, there's I think a wonderful set piece that you guys will all enjoy if you go over and watch that. So guys, please go over to GRM Daily, 6:30 tomorrow. Check out S Maverick Genocide, and do me a favor, do S Maverick, and also Dre, who's been on Terrace before, football, Man City fan, but he's my partner in the business. Great editor, great cameraman. So yeah, just support would be much appreciated. Thank you.
No problem, bro. Quality work as well, bro. Like, I've seen the full video. You showed it to me a good few weeks ago, or like early versions had really, really good, powerful words in the song. And as you say, the videography and the editing is on point as well, bro. So well done you for that.
Thank you.
There's a super chat here that says Genie Wijnaldum has been the best player for the Netherlands, but yet De Jong is on there. Well, this was the decision was made to pick a player from the Netherlands, and one of the real reasons for it is when they were checking out polls in the Netherlands and what the Dutch were saying about their nation, that was who they put forward. So I actually think it's sensible sometimes to steer away from Premier League fans creating their shortlist, because we do have a bias. Genie's been great, but Dutch fans have put it towards him, so that's why he's been put into that nominated position. So we're going to vote for it now. I want to start off with this then, boys, and have a look here at the names that are on here. KJ, when you look at these 6 players and you look at their performances so far this tournament, who's the guy that stands out to you in this?
So we kind of did this a little bit on Midnight Vibes the other night, but like this is going to be more in detail. The one player that I have to go to, and I said it on the show and I'll say it again, when I think about everything he's done for his team in the tournament, it's just been phenomenal, and that is Romelu Lukaku. Romelu Lukaku for me has been the best player of the group stage due to the fact that he's had nearly all the goals that Belgium has scored. He has been instrumental in that. He's scored the goals that he scored this tournament, but his strength when holding off players, his speed and runs in behind, his touches, his technical play, his dribbles, all have been for me absolutely excellent. And without him, Belgium don't look the same. Like KDB has been phenomenal, and you know how good Eden Hazard is on his day. But Romelu Lukaku is the focal point. He's the guy that's driving this team forward. He looks slimmer, he looks strong, he looks quick. And for me, he has to be. For me personally, he has to be player of the group stage, because without him, they don't score as many goals.
Mate, I hear you. I hear you on that. That driving force that he has been, his hunger to score goals is great. What's your take on Lukaku so far at this tournament, Daniel? You're on mute, bro.
Apologies. He's been good. He's been very good. I don't think there's. Do you know what? I actually thought it was quite tough when I actually looked through it. Like I looked through the guys that were selected. I thought it was like tough. I think everyone's got an equal argument as to why they could be player of the tournament. I guess it makes sense why they done it this way as well, especially with the bias. Because I would have changed a couple of the names from each group too, but we won't go into who I would have changed. Yeah, no, Lukaku. Look, Lukaku's been solid, man. I've been screaming this guy's top tier. I think on their day only Lewandowski and Kane are above him. I do genuinely believe he's the third best striker in the world right now. Obviously excluding Cristiano Ronaldo, we don't put him in.
That's right.
No, man, like Lukaku. Look, if I had to pick a player, Locatelli is a close second. I do think it is more based on one game because obviously he didn't play in the third game, but he was so outstanding in the second game. Showed glimpses in the first game. De Jong's been quality all round. Schick, yeah. Ronaldo, of course, has got all his goals. I think his performance though doesn't put him as the player, but Ronaldo is Ronaldo, and Forsberg's been good as well, man. I think Lukaku stands out, goals and also impact on his team. Team's winning and the success, and he's also involved in the build-up a lot of the time. So, yeah, man, I think I'll go with Lukaku as well.
I hear that. I see your face there when Ronaldo is. I know you're obviously a big fan, Neeks, of Ronaldo.
Me?
Yeah. Fan of Ronaldo. You know, five goals. I think this is the most he's ever scored at a European Championships ever. And his goals and his moments have been so clutch. It's simply what's kept Portugal in this tournament. I get the feeling that he's your player of this round so far.
Without a shadow of a doubt, you know, credit to Lukaku doing what he does against the likes of Russia. Fair play, innit? Ramsey has a name for him, small game Romelu, and you know we suffered from that at Manchester United. Inter also suffered from that in European competitions. But anyway, on Ronaldo, group of death, and let's keep it 100. It's been somewhat of a carry job. There's only been 3 players who can say that they've actually performed to whatever level, to a decent level in this Portugal team. Ronaldo, outside of Rui Patricio, Renato Sanchez in 1.5 games, or 1 and a bit games, and Rafa Silva came off the bench against Hungary. Everyone else has been very, very poor. Some just trash, like Semedo, utter garbage. Ronaldo is a striker, and we have an image of Ronaldo of how he was in his peak, and because he's not doing that now, therefore he's trash. But if you were judging Ronaldo as a striker, like we do the likes of Lewandowski, like a Lukaku or a Ibrahimovic or whatever, a 36-year-old striker, it's been somewhat of a carry job. He's got the most goals, 100% of course, in the tournament and for Portugal. Portugal scores 7 goals in this tournament. Ronaldo has 5, 70% of their goals. He's got this joint most assists, which shows that not many other people actually really contributing. He's won the most penalties. He's got the most dribbles. And people will say, oh, but it's just penalties. There's been 14 penalties in this tournament, and 6 have been missed. Ronaldo scored 3. So when you consider the clutchness of these penalties, take out not even the Hungary one, to be fair, because that was to make it 2-0. But the 2 against France in a game that Portugal had to get something, even at a time when Hungary were winning, so it was even more important. He slotted them both away. In the same time, Spain have missed their last 5 penalties. So he's got the clutch gene, the clutch nature to actually drag his team, with the help of Renato Sancho, of course, who's been brilliant, through this group of death. Germany, France, and a Hungary team, which has surprised all of us. They ain't playing no joke teams. These are proper teams. Ronaldo's the player of the team.
Yeah. I bear in mind he did come third.
I lot of people, I want to throw this out there. A lot of people are saying that we should downplay the goals because 3 of them are penalties. David, do you agree that we should discount goals if they're penalties? I've only ever seen people say that for Bruno Fernandes and Cristiano Ronaldo. I've never seen any other players in the world have goals removed for penalties, but should we remove them from his goal tally?
You don't discount the goals, but like I just think overall, I just don't think he's been the best player. I personally don't.
He's a striker.
I understand that he scored goals. Yeah, I get it, but like his overall play for me hasn't been the best at this whole tournament. And bearing in mind, and again, Neeks wanted to talk about scoring against small teams. He got 2 against Hungary. That's
Hungary. Germany couldn't beat. Germany couldn't beat.
That's 40% of his goals. That's 40% of his goals right there.
Didn't even beat
so
Hungary.
Look, it's Hungary. It's Hungary. And on top of that, they finished 3rd in their group. So for me, so far, overall his team is underperforming. Yes, he may be helping them get through, but I think his overall play hasn't been good enough for him to be player of the group stage. Whether that's because of him or because the rest of his team aren't helping him is a different discussion. But when I'm looking at it as a base, I don't think Ronaldo's been the best at the tournament so far.
Mm-hmm. I hear you on that. Remember, reviewers, the link is in the live comments section pinned. There's also the link in the description below. You can go and cast your vote right about now. So we've heard about Ronaldo. We've heard about Lukaku so far. I want to speak about Locatelli because I'm going to call out the BS now. I've been doing this show. I don't even know how old he is. I'm going to say he's in his mid-20s, early mid-20s at the very least. He ain't too old, but he's been around. I've been doing the Football Terrace for 5 years. I've never seen his name mentioned by a single viewer. So I can't talk for other YouTubers, journalists, bloggers, vloggers, and whatnot. But I can talk about the Football Terrace community because, as most of you will know, I've been here from the start. I'm on most of the streams. I've never heard his name mentioned. Suddenly now, everybody's talking about him as if he is Zinedine Zidane and Paul Scholes' love child. And I don't mean any disrespect to him. I'm just talking about they're all acting like they've known about this guy for time, bruv. I'm like, have you really?
No, to be fair to one person, Kesh was the only person I remember mentioning it before anyone and before the World Cup.
On the terrace.
I knew you were going to say Kesh.
Okay.
But look,
okay, so he might have done it. So but that isn't just disrespect Locatelli. I think he's been sensational. And I love when a player that we as Premier League football fans primarily suddenly see and watch. And one of the reasons why I don't think a lot of people have really heard of him is because no one's watching. How do I pronounce it right? Is it
Sassuolo?
Sassuolo. That's a dyslexic's nightmare to read and say. No one watches them on a Sunday afternoon, bruv. Like it's just not happening. So no one's really seen him. Like Igal, how good has this man been so far in this tournament, in your opinion?
Okay, so in context, he's played 2 games, right? In the first game, everyone Arsenal was linked to him. After the first game, after the first 90 minutes, everyone's saying Locatelli was not that good in the first game. Some people even saying he was utter garbage in the first game. That's what some fans were saying. In the second game, he scores 2 goals, and then everyone's saying, you know what, Locatelli's the best in the world. And then what happens the third game? Verratti comes in. He gets subbed out. And Verratti has even better, not even better, but like had a world-class performance in the way that he was playing. So is it that he's this great player and having this great tournament, or is it he had 1 game where he scored 2 goals, and because he's a deep-lining midfielder who can get forward, everyone's freaking out? I think it's kind of overblown.
Do you know what I was saying? Defense of him, because he would get my vote if I was the one casting this vote today. That central midfield for Italy is the engine room for the way they play. They've been the most impressive team at this tournament. And I think his play outside of scoring 2 goals has been brilliant. The way he has pressed, the way he's won back possession. His general passing and play has been perfect. He hasn't got his team into trouble. He's helped to dominate. And of course, his teammates have helped him, but let's not act like every other player on this list hasn't had teammates that have helped them, because it's a team sport. I just think that his performances have been so good, a name that none of us have heard. Most of the other names on this list, when you think about it, Schick scored a goal that made us recognize him. But Forsberg, we all know because RB Leipzig. We all know who he is, right? Ronaldo and Lukaku don't need any introductions. Frankie de Jong is a player that, and this is why I know Frankie de Jong's on this list, because I remember watching social media trend after the opening to Netherlands games, and yes, people talk about Genie and they were talking about Memphis, but a lot of people said this, and this is why I know the Dutch are putting forward, because they rate him. It was I forgot he was good after seeing him struggle so much in a Barcelona team, and people realized again, very Harry Maguire-esque, sort of actually he's really good. But with Locatelli, what I'm so impressed with is an unknown player in a team with lots of Italians that we have heard of. It's him who stood out. It's him who has been the star, and he's rose his head above everybody else, and no one expected it because no one had heard of him. In terms of us here talking about it, none of us were chatting about him. Kesh, maybe, as you say, I'm not going to disregard that. The fact that he has managed to put his head above the precipice and rise above all of his teammates, I just think that's sensational. I think that, for me, is why I would put him up. We all kind of know what Ronaldo is. We've all got a bias to Ronaldo and all these kind of players a little bit because we love them. With Locatelli, he's an unknown and he's killed it.
That's true, Terry, but is that enough to warrant being the best player so far from the group stage when you consider all the other performances? Is the nice story of him being unknown, being young, enough to carry him to that point of being like, yes, like he has actually been the best?
That alone might not, but if we agree that Italy's been the best team, the next question is who's been the best Italian. And if it is Locatelli, I mean, of course, there's Spinazzola's got an argument for there. No doubt Chelsea fans will say Jorginho. If he...
Why did you do that? Wait, why did you do that?
I mean, they've been saying it.
I tell
you. But Daniel, they've been saying it since we started the thing. It was like, where's Jorginho? That was the first thing.
I'm not even trying to do that, but I'm just saying, you don't have to say Chelsea fans. Say your opinion. Do you think?
No, but it's true though. It's true though. It's true.
You say it. I want to hear you say it.
We might not agree. I'm just saying people may suggest certain names, but if Locatelli, if we say he has been the best and Italy have been the best team so far, that alone, even without the story, puts him in with a good shout of being the player of the tournament.
To that point though, just something that Egal said that I wanted to comment on. I get what you're saying, and I actually side with you in the fact that I think that he has played well. I think the first game, though, there were a bit of mixed reactions to his play, his overall play. The second game was obviously where he took the tournament by storm and whatnot. But the third game, it's not like he didn't get replaced by Verratti, because when they all come back, it's going to be Verratti, Locatelli, and Jorginho. Barella is going to be the one who misses out when they go into the knockout stage. No, 100% it will be, but trust me, it will be Barella. But I'm saying, what's it called? The reason why I wouldn't put Locatelli as the best player of the tournament is, of course, fair enough, because you want to give him that DM tax and the fact that he's playing a deep lying role. He had one outstanding game, but I think we can't. It's going to be very, very hard to look past Lukaku. I don't need to go over David's points about Ronaldo again. I literally echo everything he said. Ronaldo has not been the best player of the tournament, despite him doing what Ronaldo does. I have nothing against Ronaldo anyway, but despite him doing what Ronaldo does,
come on now,
score goals. We as fans know when Ronaldo is doing it because it's phenomenal what he's able to do. He continues to put up numbers and continues to put up the stats. But now we can see, let's look at the performances, and have the performances really been there? Then again, some people might say if he's able to put up the stats he's putting in the performances, neither here or there. But Lukaku's just the guy that you have to look to. That Belgium team is doing so well right now. And yes, you want to call it farmers, but you can only beat who's in front of you. Is doing so well right now because Lukaku is on that pitch. So that's why he's number one.
Can I say one thing? We haven't mentioned two other players, and I just want to mention one of them because I felt like his team hasn't lost a game. He got a draw against Spain. He won the second game. Who was it against again? I forgot off the top of my head. Slovakia, and then against Poland, he gets 2 goals. He's probably the last week. He probably had one of the best performances. Let's be real, Emil Forsberg, I did not expect this from him. He's kind of surprised me, and for him to be on this list, I just wanted to mention him and shout him out.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, so go on, David.
I was going to say, for me, I think he's been player of the tournament. When you talk about, because when you total everything up, I think for me personally, I think Forsberg's got a really good shout for being this player of the tournament. I understand the Lukaku and the Ronaldo thing, but again, they've got a lot of better quality around them. When I look at Forsberg, though, the way his main other help is Isak, and even though Isak hasn't, I don't think he's contributed to a goal yet. He's been really, really good. But when I look at Forsberg, what I look at is someone who is come to the tournament. He's been one of the key for his country. But on top of that, he's delivered when they really needed it. And he's got them through those crucial games. In the first game, he may not have scored. But being part of that defensive unit, trying to stop Spain, only having 14% of the ball, whatever it was, that is something that's really good. And for an attacking mid, that's fantastic to have. But then to go into your next 2 games and be the absolute key to beat those other 2 teams and send your nation through as top of the group in a group where people weren't expecting you to come maybe second or third. When I add everything up in terms of was I expecting it from the tournament? How much are you a contributing factor to your team going through in this group stage? How many goals you've got? What position you're playing? Your overall effect on your team? I think he has been the overall player of the tournament from those 6 players, personally.
I'm not with you, but I like how you laid it out there. Amazing.
Because it's because when I look at it, it's like Ronaldo, like pound for pound, has probably been like, when you talk about how much has he helped the team pound for pound, it's probably been Ronaldo who goes top of that list. But for me, after that, it's Forsberg, because like when you look at his team, it's not doing much. When you look at the goals, especially from attacking mids, he's second.
So your point, everything you said about Lukaku,
and that's fair.
Forsberg is not as good a player. He's in a much lesser team, and as an individual in less minutes played, he's delivered the same in terms of goals as Lukaku, but he doesn't have the same support around him, the same mechanism. Everybody expected Belgium to do what Belgium did, as an example, where I think Forsberg has performed above that expectation. I feel the same thing about him slightly as I do Locatelli. It's harder because obviously midfielders like him are not meant to score goals. Those goals, of course, help when you're a midfielder picking up and scoring goals. I think Forsberg is a definite candidate for this in terms of moving forward. And you say Sweden have shocked people. Go on, Dan. Go on.
Very, very quickly. The arguments are great, but this is the reason why Kante is gonna win the Ballon d'Or. I hope you know why. Like this, no, and I'm not saying he's deserving of it. I'm not saying he should win it, but I'm telling you the arguments that we're posing right now are the reasons why he's going to win it. The lesser talent thing, taking his team to the top because he's not working with the best of pieces. And look, Forsberg obviously has goal contributions as well that Kante will just never get because of the position he plays in. But it feeds into this narrative of the support system and the players that he has around him.
Mate, I forgot Kante was on the pitch against Portugal.
Compared to the other guys that he's got.
So random.
I'm just saying. I'm just trying to feed
What does
it
it
in.
have to do with the team?
Sorry, 1 sec. At what point in the last 12 months has N'Golo Kante played with a lack of quality around him?
In comparison to
Jorginho
going up against, in comparison to the people he's going up against.
Oh, Porter. Oh, wow.
This is what I'm saying. No, just trying to understand.
I hear you.
Yeah. I'm like in comparison to Lewandowski.
Chelsea's squad is
We
sensational.
can't do that. We can't do that.
Wait, guys.
can't do that.
On top of that, Daniel, on top of that, you can't do that because you turned around and said to us a few weeks ago, you were even on the harder side of the draw. So how does that make sense?
Wait, what? Say that again, sorry.
In the Champions League, you said you were on the harder side of the draw. Played the hard teams. So if you played and outperformed them, but then you name like Bayern Munich's squad as being better, like you make it sound like it's like superior to you by a million miles. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, what I'm trying to say is the reason why I'm basically using David's argument of the fact that he's playing with lesser talent and he's got less around him, so he's doing more for his team, especially in the position that he's playing, in comparison to the people he's up against, so the Lukakus and the Ronaldos. The same way we're saying, or the reason why Chelsea fans are pushing the narrative that Kante can win the Ballon d'Or is, as much as you want to say Chelsea squad is fantastic, sensational, this and that, they were underperforming and they weren't doing well. And Kante was the shining light in that underperforming.
He was underperforming.
Wait.
Let me land. I'm almost done.
Flipping out.
He was the shining light in that underperforming team. And in comparison to the Ballon d'Or candidates who play for better teams. Regardless of how sensational you think Chelsea's team were, there were, I would say, about 5 teams in the draw that were better.
Daniel. Daniel, wait, was it Daniel? Respectfully, I actually don't care. No. Just for the fact that
I'm just bringing up.
Just for the fact that we're talking about Euros and you've bought Kante Ballon d'Or. Like, now's not the time. We'll talk about this another time.
It was never even meant as Kante prop. I was just basically saying the reason why. One set. Oh, do you know what? It was actually cheeky Kante prop, but I'm saying the reason why you can't say Forsberg. I was basically discrediting the lesser talent thing as a reason as to why he's the best player in the tournament. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Anyway, bringing it back to the thing, yeah.
So,
bringing it back.
1 second, KJ. I got a super chat here that I got to go to that says Ronaldo literally headed the ball from the edge of his own box from a corner, ran on the break in a counter and scored. Why is there a debate?
Well, that's
nice. Yeah, I mean, do you know what's mad about this? This is what I'd say about Ronaldo propaganda, the way people play him down. Is his second goal against Hungary was such an amazing team goal, the passing and the movement. And to call his tap-in against Germany a tap-in when it was one of the most scintillating counterattacks, you would see that he started off. That lie that it was a tap-in has changed my mind. And I'm voting Ronaldo. The fact that this is what I always say about footballers. When fans have to lie about what somebody has done to put them down, you know they're shook. If you've got to lie about Ronaldo's performances being so bad, that tells me you know that he's been the best. You're lying. That wasn't a tap-in. I don't even know why I fell for it. And I was like, hang on. That was an amazing counter-attack that he started. If that was anybody else, if I'm telling you now, in the next round, if Mbappe does that, people are pulling down their jogging bottoms and their boxer shorts and then knocking one out to it on TV going, that's Mbappe! It's Ronaldo, and suddenly it's like, it's just tapping.
Benzema stepped up and scored a penalty, and people are like, Karim has risen. When Ronaldo does it, Penaldo.
Listen. You know it because for people in the comments that may not be getting why certain players aren't there, it's one player from each group that to be picked. That group, the group of death, there is an argument to say Paul Pogba deserves to be in the discussion.
Oh, stop it!
No.
But when if I bring up Kante to discredit,
this makes no sense. Though
No. I'm sorry. I'm going to interject.
You're right. KJ's right.
I'm going to say.
No. You said let me land. No, Daniel. You said let me land.
We have the top line. All support Man United and do Man United, bro. Ronaldo, now Paul Pogba, and now
Daniel. You said let me land, fam. You said let me land. You said let me land. And I wasn't even gonna say. Addition to Paul Pogba, you have players like Gini Wijnaldum, who you could argue, if from their groups, could they be the one that we picked? And I know, obviously, Snack or Give Me Sport did it the way that they did, which is fair enough. I got no issues with that. I'm just saying, those two players there, for the tournaments that they've had also, have been very, very good and deserve that shout. Gini Wijnaldum's basically carried his nation forward with goals, assists, and being the captain, doing what he's doing. Paul Pogba is playing at a level against, again, high-level opposition, and being instrumental results. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying those two players.
I love how you guys are the same performances. I love how you guys are the same people though that said that he's doing the same thing he does for United that he does for France. But suddenly now that makes him the best player in the tournament. Exactly. He's the best player.
That's got nothing to do with it,
bro. Whatever you've said right then it doesn't change anything. He puts in a performance in Man United. We will say he was the best player on the pitch, and the rival will say, well, did he get a goal? Did he get an assist? How good was he really? That's what you will say. Now he does it for France, and there's not that bias. The world is open to see, oh, he's actually putting in great performances. Those balls that he's putting through to the likes of Benzema and Mbappe, he does that for Manchester United. That goal that he scored against AC Milan in the Europa League, I think, quarterfinals. That Pogba does that, but because it's for Man United, the hate is carried. Pogba was man the match against Germany. He was man the match against
guys, let me finish.
Pogba was man the match against Germany and man the match against Portugal, as far as I'm concerned. I know Benzema got it in the end by UEFA for some unknown reason. That's the two biggest games in the tournament.
And also finished top of the group.
And they topped the group. I think Pogba's
bro.
Okay, I'm not a Manchester United fan, but yes, I do watch the France games with affinity for France. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Every single goal France scored, Paul Pogba was instrumental. The first goal, he was the one that played the ball out wide for the cross. The second game, he got the assist for the goal. The penalty, the first penalty, Mbappe, he was the one that played the ball. The goal for what do you call it, for Benzema, he was the one that played the goal, the assist for that ball. So if we're going to talk about Kante or anybody else, this man literally created all 4 goals this tournament for France. So let's
and Pogba deserves so much respect, massively. But barring one player on this list, do you know what I'm loving about all these arguments more than anything else? Is I'm just putting this out there. Barring Frankie de Jong, who has delivered with everything other than goals and assists essentially for his team. Have we noticed that what we're raving about is players that score goals and players that set up goals? And all season in the Premier League, scoring and assisting goals has been looked at as secondary to just passing and moving the ball well. You know, and now suddenly we're voting for the player of the group stages, and the one player that's getting no love is the guy that hasn't scored or assisted, but just played very well, kept his team ticking over. And I thought that was more important. And no, it is absolutely right. You're absolutely right, in my opinion. It's yes, your play being good. Yes, your passing being good. Yes, your overall performance in your role being good. But football is about scoring goals and winning games. If you're creating them or you're scoring them, especially in clutch moments, opening in big games, it's always clutch, but opening goals, winners, equalizers, decisive moments that, do you know, when you look at Forsberg as an example, when you look at what he's done at this tournament, Locatelli, they've created moments that could go down. Forsberg's done it because of the size of his nation, footballing wise. He's already a hero now. Like, I don't think people realize what Sweden have achieved in this tournament makes him a national hero now, because they're not expected to win it. So those kind of moments are there. I just think it's the irony in here is everyone's raving about Gini, and rightfully so. He's been brilliant. Why? Because he's been scoring goals. Yet certain players score lots of goals, and it's but what else does he do? Do you know what I mean? I love it. The way that Daniel and many times. This is what I love about football, how the barometer changes depending upon the player that's kicking the ball. It's madness.
The way Daniel talks about Kante, the way you're talking about Bruno, I don't care. This isn't the time, is it? This isn't the time.
I'm not talking about Bruno per se. I'm talking about how it changes. Like with Gini Wijnaldum, when he says we're a Liverpool fan, but he ain't scoring, they speak about everything other than he's scoring. Suddenly he scores a few goals, and it's like, I'm not saying he's been bad, by the way, but let's ignore all the great things other people are doing and focus on the goal scorer. I love that from football fans. It's brilliant.
Also, if you're gonna praise Ronaldo's defensive header that led to a counter attack, then Pogba's no look shot that forced the save should get recognised. So that's all I'm gonna say. Paul Pogba.
He wasn't.
You didn't have to do that.
Has had a better tournament so far than Pogba.
Huh?
Havertz had a better tournament so far.
No, David.
No, he hasn't.
That was the wrong quote. Jorginho's had a better tournament than Paul Pogba.
Both of them. Again, listen, it's arguable, but look at the opposition. Pogba's playing against Portugal and Germany.
Havertz have the same
degree of difficulty.
Havertz
isn't there. But we just spent the whole argument saying Italy have been the best team at the tournament. Who's been the fulcrum? He played every single minute.
But Daniel, he played every single game. He ain't even the best player. Apparently, he's not even the best player at Italy. So how can we be better than Paul Pogba? He's not even the best player at Italy, bro.
You want to bet right now? Jorginho does not start the next game.
Okay. Slow down. Right. before you do that, before you make a bet, what are you offering up as a bet? What is it offering?
Let's go. Let's go.
Don't say no. You said you want to bet. What you betting?
No, because after England, Italy is my team, so don't do that.
Right.
I know
what
who
starts. What's your bet?
You think Jorginho's starting?
Yes.
It's not fit, as in this like 150%. As long as he's not injured, he's going to start.
So on that, so Gal, what are you betting? What are you betting, my bro?
Oh my god.
Make the bet.
I don't know what to bet.
No, you see, Igal's a butler, fam. He does this every time. Literally, Igal's one of those kids, that you say something and he just reacts and says something. And then when he actually thinks about what's happened, he's like, actually, let me not do this, because he did this with Ferran Torres. He's like, Ferran Torres is going to be guaranteed FPL points. Contributions.
What I love about Gal, it's like, guys, we got to eat.
Yeah, but how is it gonna work?
Where do you want to go? I'm not really hungry. Don't care. It's like, what? Yes, I love you, Igal. Honestly, brother, you are amazing. Super chat here that says scoring and assisting is important, but Benzema said it best. Nowadays, you can be bad for 90 minutes, but score a penalty and you're man of the match. And do you know what, Adrian? Again, we're splitting hairs here. Of course, there are times where, and I'll use his name, where Bruno Fernandes had a bang average game and he scores a goal. That isn't my point. It's we don't score 30-odd goals in a season and assist 15 games, and in the majority of those games are shit and you score. It's the occasional. It's the hyperbolic nature of, you did it once or twice, so I'm going to use it as the example. Of course, Benzema's right. You should never, Benzema's right in the sense of, you guys ever used to play when I used to play FIFA, you could have a midfielder that balled out all day for you, but the guy that scored the 2 goals always got man of the match. It used to annoy me. That's what Benzema's saying, and he's absolutely right. You should look at, if Pogba is pulling the strings all game and is controlling the tempo, and I'm just going to say, and Cavani's having a stinker, but then scores like 2 goals in the last 5 minutes, he shouldn't be the man of the match of that game. But then if you listen to Jack Grealish, another absolute star when it comes to what he's doing on the field of play, he's almost this generation's eye test dream. He just says it, like, I want to come on, I want to score, and I want to assist, because that's how you influence the game. And that whole thing about you're playing well without scoring goals, that means you've created space for others. That means your team has still scored at the end of it. Does that make sense? It's like, you don't play well if your team don't create chances and doesn't score. No one's played well. Do you get what I mean? It's crazy to me. No mention of KDB. Look, KDB's been very, very good. I suppose playing 1.5 games was one of the reasons why I don't think he was put forward. It's only 1.5 games that he played in. Havertz, his name's obviously been mentioned. That's almost
those 3 outputs, though, Terry. In 1.5 games. In 1.5 games, he still contributed to 3 goals.
I get that. I think the reason that Lukaku is picked ahead of him is Lukaku's been influential in all 3 games. So I just think people weighed that up, because they're not just looking at the goals and assists. It's a combination of everything. Because I say, that's why Pogba is the best. Listen, I've said for years, Paul Pogba is the best midfielder in the world. Legitimately is at what he does. And then that's hard because there's so many roles in midfield. Sometimes I wish it was as easy as a striker or a right-sided inside forward. It's one position. Do you know what I mean? It's easier to debate. But Paul Pogba is absolute diamond. And without him, I don't think Kante would do as well internationally. I'm just, I want anyway.
No, Terry, it's facts. It's facts. If it's a partnership, I want this. If it's a partnership, they both affect each other and help each other as equally because they're complementary. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, KJ, the reality is,
that's what I'm going to say. France have won 1 international tournament since both of them have been playing, and Pogba was the better player in the tournament and, more importantly, in the final. So Kante owes his France career to Paul Labille. Thank you and good night.
Let me just say, I want to say one thing though about a player that hasn't turned up at all yet, in my opinion. Some good runs, and he won the softest penalty I've ever seen in my life. Like, Kylian Mbappe's had a really quiet tournament, hasn't he? Like, really,
he's been offside more than he's had shots on target.
I wouldn't say quiet, just not fully effective. You know what I mean? Like, he's been on the ball at times. I don't know.
Do you know what it is? Because I get what you're saying. Like, because he's Mbappe, we've expected so much more from him. But he's still, like, because Mbappe's there, you drop 2 yards, for example, things like that. Like he's still playing on the opposition.
Created a goal. What are you talking about? He
No, but to his standards, he hasn't been what we thought he'd be.
The Hungry game, it was basically his pass that led to the Griezmann goal, right? He was the one that made the run that Pogba passed the ball to that got the penalty. He's contributed, but you all want to see him scoring the goals and getting in the limelight.
Yeah,
Realistically, one second. Realistically, if you want to talk about somebody who hasn't shown up this tournament, it's your guy Bruno. Even though I rate Bruno, he's the guy who hasn't shown up.
Hang on a minute. But hang on a minute. But you throw that in there like I didn't do a whole show that was centered around should he be dropped.
Okay, well, I'm just saying.
You throw shade at me that I've already addressed. Like I did that. I don't ignore my.
Hey, listen. All I'm going to say is
bad as well as Mbappe.
Exactly, it's not one or the other.
All I'm going to say is Santos.
The way you caveated it, it was like he's been the worst player.
He's the worst.
You're a liar.
I told you.
Okay, I'm not a liar.
It
might be adding salt, but I'm not a liar.
You just told a lie. He's the worst player. That's a lie.
There's something called adding spice. It's not lying.
Oi! Before I ever do anything, I'm just gonna call it adding spice. It's not lying, bro.
You know what I mean? It's like why did you slide into that person's DMs? I didn't slide into nobody's DMs. I just added spice. That's what I did.
I added spice to the relationship.
In the gals world, me and Terry have a fist bump. In the gals world, we had a fight.
You know what I mean? Oh yeah. Terry and David had a heated debate. The gal's like, "Oh, did you see Terry just killed David? Terry just killed murdered him straight up." Why'd you say that for a gal? Adding spice, like it's mad.
I'm using that in my life now. Whenever I get caught in something, I'm adding spice in it.
Yeah, why did you do a lie?
Spice.
You're actually the best, man.
Paul must have a great chiropractor carrying United and careers. Respect Le Bill. Comment here from Lennon Sweet says, sorry, this is from Chelsea Love. Sorry, says the delusion deserves a super chat. Kante not effective without Pogba. Are you sure it's not the other way around? World class players both. I was going to say
that wasn't said.
Let me just say, KJ. Let me just say, I was going to say. It's team sport, and I don't think France are as good without either of them. One can't exist without the other in that team. It's the balance, of course, it is, and they're both needed. But what you get is then the Manchester United, Chelsea bias that makes you fight for your individual. Like I'm always going to fight and protect my players as best I can. I can't protect Bruno this tournament because he's been absolute tosh, and I'll say when someone's been tosh, and he should be. I wanted. Do you know what's mad though? I enjoyed the game last night because he wasn't on the pitch. I was like, there's no talk of my Bruno, so I can just sit and relax. Like with Rashford, I'm so happy he's on the bench because you know how bad we've been in these games in terms of the play hasn't been brilliant for England. I'm just glad there's no Man United player getting crap. I'm enjoying it. I'm just like, this is amazing. I absolutely love it. I want to bet on
Sutton.
Okay, that's what that means. I bet Raheem Sterling scores all of England's goals this Euros. If I win, anyone on the panel, they never come back on the show.
Oh my God. Wow, he really don't like us.
Okay, yeah. Does anyone want to take that bet?
Hell no, bro.
I mean, if we go out in the next round, we don't score, this guy wins.
I know.
No, that can come true.
Well, listen, I'm an England fan, right? I wouldn't take that bet because we might go out 3 or 4-0 and then you're absolutely spot on, mate. My gal adding spice is what Jerome has said. Lang and Sweet put a super chat in earlier as well, actually, and he basically just said that England are going to get spun by Germany in relation to this. But listen, this is why I love these kind of shows because I love the hypocrisy, and we're all hypocrites when it comes to football. We all twist and change things at times to suit our agenda and to promote certain players and to put other people down. Do you know what that's called? I'll hand it over to Nix. What's that called, Nix?
Being a fan.
Being a fan. And do you know what? It's a madness. And if you're not a fan of your football club, I'm not even angry anymore. You're just
disappointed. You're just disappointed, bro.
No, I don't. I feel sorry for you. It's like, you know, like if you see someone Like I've done this a few times in my life. I walk out of, like, I don't know, Pret a Manger, Greg's. I'm in London. I bought a sandwich, and you see someone who's like got nothing, and I'm like, oh, do you know what? I have my sandwich. I'm gonna go back in and buy another one. That's how I feel about non-fan fans. I just feel sorry for them. Like a homeless person, I'm gonna give sandwich to. Like I feel for them. It's like, like you've got no enjoyment in your team. I feel I want to give them a nice big hug. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want to do.
Harry,
It's called spice.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Who's the best English centre back right now?
Harry Maguire.
Harry Maguire.
Not Ben White. Not Ben White. Not Ben White.
It's the same one for about the last 3 years. Harry
No. Listen, I'm going to be shameless. After this season, you're definitely going to hear Arsenal fans saying it. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm not going to be part of that, but I'll be saying it during the season.
Be quiet. You said Saka's been the best player at the tournament. You played one game. Like, I'm not hearing it. I'm not hearing it.
Saka's a man mountain. Why do you think he turned off?
I'm not hearing it, Igal. Your player has one good game. You won your first game of the season. You were like, we're back.
No, you said
won one FA Cup. We're back.
Guys, do you remember when they scored that goal against... this is what I can't wait for the season to start again. They scored that goal against Fulham, and then they showed the compilation of how they scored a similar goal like in pre-season from playing out the back. You remember?
Yeah.
Listen.
Listen.
Look at the picture.
My favorite Arsenal Nigel moment has to be during the watch along between I think it was Liverpool and Arsenal at the start of the season. And then he came back from loan. He was playing all right, and then one of the Liverpool players played a pass straight into El Nenny's path. And he had the gal going, you see, that's my guy, my midfielder. He's come back on loan and he's been the best. And I was just like, he passed in the ball.
He basically got hit by a stray ball and the gal went mad.
Terry did an 8-minute recap of my watch along after the Man City performance.
That honestly, I sat there and watched it. It was like an hour and a bit, and I'm sitting there time stamping it, and I'm like, I've got to edit this together. Honestly, bruv, after I did it and released it, I was worried that I was going to be cancelled because I thought people are going to think I'm laughing at like an undateable or something. I don't know. Like I really thought people were going to say, "What's Terry doing here?" Because honestly, bro, I nearly said a bad joke, then I'll get cancelled if I say that. But I don't know what happened to you. I thought you had a nervous breakdown. Breakdown.
I'm not going to lie to you. That game was one of the games where I did a watch along by myself. And I was like, you know what? I can't be doing these all the time by myself. I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, it's always better. Doing it by yourself is not always nice. But my worst part of the season, I don't know if you remember my reaction, opening day of the season against Crystal Palace. One, I said in the build-up that day that Zaha was a bum and scored a brace. But it was the reaction to that, because remember, the penalty that we conceded, we were 1-0 down, was for one of those mad handballs that only lasted like a month, and it shouldn't have been a penalty. So I was raging about that because I couldn't believe it. And I threw this chair about as going mental. The penalty, I think, was either missed or saved.
Save.
And they made it again. And then I went. My voice box hasn't recovered since. I just remember going mental, and then I sat down. You know when you sit down after going mental, and then all you see for about a minute is like red and black dots. That's all I could see. I was like, I'm going to pass out.
Terry, you just gave me flashback. Do you know that's the only penalty that David has saved in like 8 years, and it was disallowed?
Yes, and that was when Terry was bored as well. That was a.
Bring back.
Remember when you almost wanted to kill me when we beat you at home?
Yeah, I remember when Terry slapped his bum for no reason, bro. Got his bum out on screen and that.
I remember when he lost 6-1 and I laughed at Terry and he kicked me off. He couldn't.
That's funny, right?
He called me after when he went, oh, it's just for the show. I was like, no, it's fine. Don't worry. I'd do the exact same thing. But I came on. I was chatting absolute nonsense. I was like, oh, you got battered left and right. You should have lost 8-1, 9-1. And Terry was like, I can't deal with this kid.
Remember when they got kicked out of the Champions League and no one could find the link?
Yeah, do you know what's funny, right? Like, obviously sitting down with Snack and talking about things, and like they give me, like, I have to take it. I partner with people. I take the feedback on board. It's generally quite positive, but they were like, "Yeah, we've had a little think." I'm like, "Oh, all right." We're gonna need to plan it in certain ways, but I think when Man United play, especially in big games, we need to draft in a different host. I said, why? I said, because it's great. They said, but like they said, the worst one was they were like after the Europa League final defeat. They said for the first 20 minutes, it wasn't a show. It was just watching you ever just break down on camera. That's fine, we can do that, but someone else has to pick out because if you were asking questions and he said. We just kept on all thinking that any second you're just going to go at everyone, and it's hard. It's because it is. I'm not a TV presenter. I'm as professional as I can be, but I'm still a fan at heart. When something pains you, I just can't get away from it. And yeah, I had some painful moments, but that's part of football, I suppose. Yeah, man.
Think about how sometimes we as just literally like pundits, we come on and just talk about our team when they lose. Like I was already fearing the worst. Like remember when everyone was saying, David, that we can't beat Man City 3 times in a row. Yeah. So I was trying to sort out what defeat we were gonna get. Like you could take the Premier League defeat, but then a FA Cup and a Champions League defeat, you'd be like, oh, you're taking the piss, like kind of thing. So imagine being the host. And like I would not have been able to host a final that Chelsea had lost. Like, how do you even ask questions? Like, I wouldn't even care. Like, I honestly wouldn't care.
Yeah, man. Honestly, like, I mean it with like a genuine sort of what's the word I would use to describe it? Like, I don't mean to be like it, but honestly, it was the worst feeling of my life. It was the worst feeling ever losing like that. It was just diabolical, absolutely diabolical. But yeah. I actually think as well, it was so bad my rant in that game. That's why I was looking for the video. I was going to play it, and then I realized it got like struck off because of how many C bombs I dropped. It was literally one of the ones that got demonetized the next day, and then it was like this is terrible. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need a community strike. I went mental. I don't even know if it's there anymore. It's still there, but I turned it private after it was taken.
What,
off.
the whole match reaction or just your?
No, the match reaction is still up, but the stream. But most of the watch alongs are gone. I took most of the watch alongs off because I don't like watch alongs. Honestly, like let me rephrase. I don't like doing watch alongs. They bore the living daylights out of me. But we have got watch alongs coming back to the terrace in preparations and plans. I'm not doing them though, but you're going to enjoy it. We're going to do watch alongs completely differently from any other YouTube channel on the planet. Do you know why? Because what's the point of doing the same thing as everybody else? Be original. Original.
Terry, can I ask one question? Are we going to do your fantasy team this time?
No, it's done, Miguel. It's done.
Not today. Not today. We're not taking safe, by the way. We're not taking. I know you put some super chats in, my bro. We're not taking calls tonight. It's not a phone-in show, so we're not sharing the link tonight, my friend. So thank you very, very much indeed. Just quickly a reminder to everybody: you can vote for your player of the group stages right now. They're the 6 nominees. The link's in the live comment section, or it's in the description below. Please go across now to fanawards.com. Official awards of Snack and Give Me Sport, and I suppose the Football Terrace as well. Get that all done. It will all be formally announced who the winner is. I think the lines close tomorrow at like midday. So you've only got a little bit of time to go and get it done. Get that done before the end of the show. Who's psyched up and ready though for these knockout stages to start now? Like who's feeling like excited about it all?
Yeah, who's the first group game?
I think it's Wales.
It's Wales, Denmark at 5, and then Italy, Austria at 8.
Yeah, so it warms you into it nicely because that's like, I mean, unless you're Welsh or Italian, I'm just like, okay, they're decent games, but the big ones come later. So I think it's nice...
you got Belgium, Portugal to come.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's on Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah.
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock.
Do you want to talk? Can we talk about the England game and Germany game beating at 5 o'clock? It's at 5.
Well, do you know what it is? Do you know what? It can't be moved because these things are all predetermined. It's a bit of a. I feel sorry for Sweden and Ukraine because the world and its dog will be. No matter what happens, whatever happens in the England game, there's going to be a huge reaction because either England do something they haven't done in 40, 50 years and beat a legitimate powerhouse in a knockout competition, or they get beat and that creates the fallout of England going out of a tournament. From a UK perspective, barely anybody, I think, is going to be focusing on that game afterwards. But it's on a Tuesday as well. So
that's horrible. I go to the office on Tuesdays, 1 day a week, Tuesday, and I've got a budget meeting from 2 till 5.
That is
like it's supposed to finish at 5, and then I have to go home underground. So how the hell am I gonna watch this game?
Yeah, it's got it. That's so mad.
Yeah, watch it in the office, half time, sprint underground.
Oh yeah, earbuds, bro. Whacking the earbuds like you're.
No. What I'm saying is when I have to go home, when I underground, you know what? I might have to. I'd watch
Don't
it.
go home.
Don't go home.
Yeah, stay in office. Stay in office, bro. Stay in office. Full uniform.
Yeah, and if England do get through, then the next game is on Saturday, the 3rd of July, and that is an 8 p.m. Kickoff on the Saturday. I mean, that will be if England get to the quarters. The 3rd of July is going to be a messy Saturday in England. You know, it's going to be an absolute mess. 8 o'clock means from 10 a.m., 11 a.m., people will be on the drink. They'll be in the bars. They'll be at barbecues. The weather's meant to be nice again by then as well. Like it's going to A&E is getting so many visits. Like it's going to be.
What's worse, losing to Germany in the round of 16 or beating Germany, but then getting knocked out by whoever in the quarters, bro? Like
even for you, by the way.
Second
you know what it is? Like. Getting beat by Germany is because you know what? Like, I don't expect us. I've said all along, I had this feeling. And by the way, if we get past Germany, you know what I said about Southgate finding a way to go deep in this tournament? I think we're one win away from that happening. I had a feeling, right? That some people's got the luck like that. Do you know what I mean? They just got that. Some people just, no matter what they do, they're always adding spice. Do you know what I mean? They just get the luck. You know what I mean? It's what they do. But like. Beating Germany for me as an individual and knocking a big team out in a knockout game, I just look at that as success. It's breaking a barrier that we haven't done for a while. Of course, I then want to beat the Ukraine or Sweden, and I would legitimately fancy us to. And you know, if we got to 2 semi-finals on the bounce in terms of international tournaments, that for me is a really good achievement for England because only one team can win it. We're not even really I don't care what the bookies say because people pump money on England to win it because the odds are so crap all the time and they shorten. We're probably not even the 5th best team in this tournament. So to get to a semi-final is a major achievement to me. So
sounds like a certain team in Manchester that does. You know
if you win it, who would be the Ballon d'Or candidate? Would it be Sterling or would it be Mason Mount?
None of
Wait, what? You know what though? That's one thing about the Ballon d'Or in the last 5-6 years or so. Is that everybody always says like it should be won by if you haven't won the World Cup or the Euros that year and the Champions League, you shouldn't be considered for it. And it's like, well, Forsberg isn't the best player at this tournament, but he's the best player at this tournament is in ability wise, but he's arguably been the best player so far. And it's like Ballon d'Or should be in that calendar year, irrespective of the team you play for. Who played the best? Who was the best player? Theoretically, you should be able to win it without maybe winning a trophy. Depends on the team that you're in. If you balled out, if you have a striker that scores 60 goals, but his team only win an FA Cup.
It's hard to gauge.
No, I hear you. But then maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me finish. Maybe it's about winning trophies. But then whenever I say things like Ryan Giggs is one of the greatest players of all time because of the trophies that he's won, people say, no, it's all about the level of performance and your ability. So if it's on ability, then you shouldn't need to win a trophy to win the Ballon d'Or. I'm confused.
You know, with me, when it comes to
my point was, though, if you're going to say Kante, by winning the World Cup, if France wins the World Cup and Champions League with Chelsea, he deserves the Ballon d'Or, then doesn't that destroy your whole logic about honestly, I've lost myself. Don't worry. No,
I understand the logic. I understand the logic that if Kante drives his team to 2 or 3 trophies in a year, and he's the best player in his team, and they win all the major trophies, and he's been one of the best in the world, I get why that would push someone towards winning the Ballon d'Or. I totally get that, but it's almost that level of it's got to a stage where people are like, if you mention a player's name and they haven't won one of the 2 big trophies, either the international tournament that year or the Champions League, no, didn't win the Champions League, can't be considered. And I just think that's too dismissive. Does that make sense? I just think sometimes it's gone away from being who's the best footballer as opposed to who won the most.
I think in the international year, performances in the international tournament should hold. It should weigh heavy, very heavy when it comes to Ballon d'Or. Now people will say, "Oh, it's only 5 or 6 games or 7 games," but that is international football. And when a team wins a World Cup or a Euros, you don't say, "Well, they're not the best team in there because they only played 5 or 6 games." It is what it is. So I'm not even saying you have to win the World Cup or the Euros, but if you are the best player at the tournament and you've had a
a good season, I say a good season, I think he should be right up there as a vote. That's why I think Schneider should have won it in 2010 over Messi. I think Ribery should have won it in 2013 over Ronaldo. And I was happy that Modric won in 2018. They won the Champions League. He wasn't the best player for Real Madrid. Ronaldo was.
Yeah.
But he was the best player of the World Cup. And I think that alone should tip over the edge. Even though
that was the year that Inter won the treble, right?
2010, yeah.
And that's my point. It goes that year, he was the best player in his team. They won a treble, but then the argument was, but he still ain't better than Messi, though, is he? And it's like, well, on that logic, then the person who is the best in the world on ability should always be the one winning it. And what I mean is, I never understand the criteria, because one year everyone talks about ability, the next year it's clutch moments, the year after that it's the trophies that they were influential in winning. And I feel like it fluctuates depending on who the flavor player of the month is or who the majority wants to win. And that's what bothers me about it, where there should just be a set criteria every year, almost tick box element. And part of that is just how good they look. Eye test level, and you just judge it by that each and every single year, because I just don't like the barometer that continually moves. As I say, 1 minute Ryan Giggs' trophies mean everything. The next minute, his trophies mean nothing. He played for a really good team and he got carried to 6 of his Premier League trophies. So he doesn't. Do you get where I'm coming from? It bothers me if we win the Euros, no one in the England team will win the Ballon d'Or, because they're not. I don't think. There isn't something else anyone in that team has done. Does that make sense?
It depends, Terry, because if Kane scores goals between now and the end of the tournament and England win it, he would have been the top goal scorer in the Premier League and the top assister. They would have won the Euros. And if he joins Man City and has a good start to the season, he's going to be fresh in everyone's mind. He would be the only one who would have a chance in the England squad because of what he did last season in the Premier League.
That's fair enough.
He has to do all of that, and he's not there yet. He hasn't scored it. He's barely had a shot on target in the tournament. Let alone scored a goal.
That makes sense, but he's never won anything in his life. What makes you think he's going to win the Ballon d'Or?
Wait. But by the time the Ballon d'Or comes, we're talking about if England win the Euros. He would have won an international tournament. So that would be something in his life.
And also, if he says he's never won anything in his life, but then including a individual trophy or individual award as something you win, he's won Golden Boot. He's won top assist. So he's won something in his life then, hasn't he?
I feel like, do you know what it is as well? It's a lot of it is PR. Like, I love N'Golo Kante. I've not got a back. I'm not even having a pop at him. But the kind of call for him to win sort of the Ballon d'Or, it just kind of popped up and everyone's like, yeah, he should win it. And then a lot of people have jumped on it. And I don't see any kind of debate around it. And if Harry Kane clicks into gear now, and we're talking clutch here, one of the greatest Premier League players of all time is a certain Didier Drogba. Not a terrible goal scorer in terms of numbers, but not on the sort of Aguero, Henry level. But he was king of clutch for me. And if Harry Kane scores the winning goal in the next 4 games for England and they win this, and as you say, goes to Man City and starts the season off in style, trust me, the British media will be having a field day to push Harry Kane, who by then will be Sir Harry Kane. They'll be pushing him for the Ballon d'Or. And what you might find, I don't know who runs the Ballon d'Or, who actually is the governing body.
The French football.
Okay, that's what it is. I know it's FIFA. But you might find that they'll look at it and go, look, there's a lot of love for this guy right now, because let's not get twisted. A big part of it is a popularity contest as well.
100%.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. I hate it because of that.
Lira's owed a Ballon d'Or as well, so don't be surprised if he gets it just for the fact that in 2020 you should have really got it. So here it is.
But I think he's got. For me right now, I think he is the number one candidate still, because he had a great last year. But remember, he just broke Gerd Muller's record. Number one goal in the Bundesliga, and he just scored 3 goals for Poland in the Euros. So he's done what he can do.
What it is though. One thing about it, and it's literally to the point that we just mentioned. Of course, I don't believe Kante should win it, but I'm part of the people who are going to push for him to win it, whether my propaganda means anything or not. But it's like with the Lewandowski thing, for example, he didn't even win the Bundesliga Player of the Year. Obviously, yes, he should have won that, but he didn't even win that for that record. So in their own league, if he's not being respected, why would the Ballon d'Or? And then on top
no. Let's not get it twisted. That's a fan vote.
No, of course there is, of course. But I'm just saying it does count as part of it, innit? And then of course when we think about relevancy, the reason why Kante got into the discussion is because the Champions League win for Chelsea was so relevant and so clear in everyone's minds. It's like, right now, in fact, Kante don't do anything between now and if France win the Euros.
I was about to say, Yeah, the Lewandowski thing. If France go out to a minnow in the next, say they go out in the next round and have a bad game, he won't win it because it will be the reason not to. But of course, the British press will push. If England don't win it, and there isn't that Harry Kane scenario we mentioned, the British press will push for Kante to win it because the British press want a Premier League player to win it. Like Premier League players very rarely win Ballon d'Or. Like Cristiano Ronaldo has won it. Who else?
Michael Owen.
Michael Owen, and that's pretty. That's it. It's a long time.
And that guy from Blackpool, I can't remember his name.
Oh,
wait, no, he's not Premier League. Sorry, I'm bugging.
Yeah,
but he's still first division. You don't know who's Stanley Matthews' name.
That's his name. That's his name.
Man was still balling at 50 years old on the wing, bruv, in an era where there was no fitness, you know. Best ledge. But yeah, so I think, like, for me, the popularity is like a few people going, why would Harry Kane be a Sir? Trust me when I tell you, if Harry Kane is, if we got an MBE into a semi-final, if we win this thing, I need to put this in.
I hope you know there's going to be Sir Tyrone Mings on that. No.
Let me just put this out there now. This is more to Arsenal fans and Chelsea because of who Harry Kane is. If England win this Euros, and especially if Harry Kane scores a few good goals along the way, Harry Kane's name will be spoken about in football until you die, until you're dead. Because Sir Bobby Moore, 66, we won that cup. So Bobby Moore's name will be spoken about in 100 years' time. Harry Kane becomes immortalized. If an England captain wins an international tournament, you are immortalized. So I'm just saying to Arsenal fans, you may even be English. There's a part of you that's going to dread it because Harry Kane's face is going to be pumped. There's going to be statues at Wembley of him for life, bruv. Honestly.
West Ham won the World Cup 66. Spurs would have won Euros 2021 if Harry Kane wins it for them.
This is the weirdest. People are saying cap. Like, they actually think I'm making this up, that his name will be spoken about forever in English football history if he wins it. Bruv, honestly, mate, like, you're deluding yourself.
Yeah,
if you don't think that's true.
It's happening. It's happening.
Yo.
There we go. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you get your votes in. The link's in the live comment section or in the description below. Go and vote now. I'm going to do my vote. I'm going to do my vote on this now before I leave. And I'm going to...
Ronaldo.
Forsberg.
I'm going Ronaldo.
Oh, that's so boring, Terry.
No. Do you know what I'll do? I'm going to go Forsberg. I'm going to click on Forsberg there. It should... There we go. I've got to put my email address in, so I can put the work one in there.
Don't lie. I had the best argument for any player. Don't lie.
Wait, what?
I had the best argument for the player I chose.
Well. If you just put, I could use that argument for anyone who plays good for a small team because it's like, but look how small they are. He's done so well.
Terry, tick the box.
Oh yeah, sorry, it's only worked there. There we go. So that's it. Voting's done. The winners will be announced tomorrow. They put it up on the website, but I'll share it with you as well. This shows you all the winners. Oh, look, who's that? Look, Bruno won a Fans Player Award. I didn't know that. You got April Player there. So they do them every single month. We're going to be doing these with you every single month next season on the Football Terrace. So Bruno won there twice last season. Look at that.
Wait, if they do a manager one, just know that Ollie is never winning. Like in the Premier League.
Oh, he got robbed in the Premier League, man.
Twice. He got robbed twice.
When did he get robbed?
Twice.
Was it Steve Bruce was one and Thomas Tuchel was
I Manchester United fans voting for other people on purpose.
Well, because one of the months we lost the FA Cup to Leicester in that month, but of course it's only based on Premier League. But because we lost to Leicester, Man United fans, I'm not voting for Ollie.
Yeah, one of them was the run where we beat Man City. In that month as well, we were unbeaten and we won like more games than we lost. Drew, sorry, and it's like he has to win it surely, and you see someone else there. He's like, wait.
Man United fans are that kind of toxic. They are.
They are.
I'm not even. If I speak, listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the bell notifications. Back tomorrow with more news for you, transfers. A bit of build up to the Euros. Do you know what I mean? I might have a Friday night off, to be fair.
And right to Arsenal.
A little bit busy, KJ. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again